Here in Berlin, the Brandenburg Gate in the center of the German capital has been lit up in Israel's national colors. Empty chairs were also set out in memory of those killed on October 7th.
Eden Abdullayev was killed just one day before her 23rd birthday. Anna Mishayev also lost her life. She is being remembered as a beloved grandmother. They are just two of many victims killed in Israel by Hamas militants 2 years ago. Their faces are now displayed in the heart of Berlin.
I
feel a bit helpless right now. I'm here, but it doesn't feel like it's enough. Looking at the photos really moved me. There's still so much pain. I've spent a lot of time in Israel and have many friends there. It's unimaginable and so important that we never forget.
Outside Parliament, flags were flown at half-mast, expressing solidarity and grief over the killings. Many of the victims of October 7th were attending the Nova Music Festival in southern Israel. This art exhibition in Berlin recreates the original setting after Hamas stormed the festival and killed hundreds of young Israelis. I got my life back, but I will always carry the memory of the friends and family we lost that day. At the same time, I will carry lifelong emotional scars. They were attacked out of blind hatred. Hatred is the ultimate language of terror. And on October 7th, it spoke louder than at any time since the Holocaust. More than 40 people were taken hostage at the festival that day, among them several with German citizenship. 5 other German nationals are also still being held in Gaza. One of them is already confirmed to have died.
And joining me now at the big table is our Middle East analyst, Shani Rozanes. Shani, it's good to have you with us. You, like me, you live in Berlin. Talk to me about how the events 2 years ago, how they have impacted life here in Berlin.
Well, I think there's several angles. First of all, if you talk about the Jewish community and the Israelis living in the city, like many other cities in Europe and across the world, you feel fear. There's a lot of hesitance. You'll hear a lot of debates about talking with whether people can still talk Hebrew on the streets. Of course, not showing any Jewish signs. You will not see a Jewish Star of David or any other signs, flagrantly displayed, in public in Berlin and in many places around the world. But we've also seen a lot of solidarity with Palestinians. To see that this, the horrors of Gaza are something that is touching personally, not just Arab and Muslim communities around Europe and around the world, but also a lot of other communities, including Jews, by the way, who are part of this solidarity movement in many parts of the world. So this is a topic that is, is influencing daily lives of so many people and also has great effect on politics. If you talk to Israelis, they are sure, first of all, that a lot of what you're seeing, for example, the support for recognition of a Palestinian state, that was led by France, they feel that Macron was doing it for his own political reasons, trying to gain some popularity because he knows it's a very common cause for the French people. So there's no doubt you see that in Italy, you see it in Spain, you see mass support. And of course, it also has ripple effects on politics, and we might be seeing it, later on as more and more elections will be taking place. There's no doubt that this is a conflict that has great effect and influence on many regions far beyond the Middle East.
It's become a global issue, and that just adds to the fuel for U.S. President Donald Trump. He knows that the world is watching. He says he wants his 20-point plan. He says that plan, the deal, could be a done deal by the end of this week. And I want to ask you, are you keeping time by Trump's clock?
Well, I think, Trump is pushing very strong, and it's quite clear that the pressure is on. He's sending his top people there. We will also have the leaders of Qatar, the Qatari Prime Minister there, leaders from Turkey joining in. So there's great pressure. Trump wants to see it done. Many will say it's more than about time. You know, he should have applied more pressure sooner. But at the same time, when we're talking about one of the most complicated conflicts in the world, you know, it's been going on for so many years, for so many decades, there is also a fear that I'm hearing from Israelis connected to the negotiations that the hastiness, you know, the push forward might also backfire and make everybody sort of either go to the extreme or be, you know, barricade in their own positions and actually bring eventually, instead of a breakthrough, a dead end. So we'll have to see in the next day how much is this pressure constructive and how much is it actually helping.
Really fast, yes or no, this peace plan now or never?
Seems like it. Well, it's going to have to eventually maybe come to this region in any other means because another round of fighting in Gaza is terrible news for everybody.
Shani, it's always good to have you in the studio. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Germany offered Israel full support when it launched its offensive in Gaza. Berlin has since refused to join other European countries in recognizing a Palestinian state, but attitudes over the war have shifted, with pro-Palestinian voices becoming more prominent.
Almost every weekend, somewhere in Germany, demonstrations are held in response to Israel's war in Gaza. Many are in solidarity with the people in Gaza and calling for recognition of a Palestinian state. Others call for the release of hostages held by Hamas and support Israel's right to defend itself. Police say in the capital alone nearly 700 protests have taken place in the last 2 years. The number of pro-Palestinian rallies is much higher than the number of pro-Israeli ones, according to police figures quoted in German media. 66% of Germans now say more pressure should be exerted on the Israeli government to change its approach to Gaza. As Israel's war against Hamas went on, the number of anti-Semitic incidents and crimes has risen sharply. In 2024, it rose by 21% and is now at an all-time high, according to the Home Affairs Ministry. Jewish community leaders say Jews in Germany are falsely equated with Israel and the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. At the reception celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Central Council of Jews in Germany, Chancellor Friedrich Merz said,
Antisemitismus war nie weg.
Anti-Semitism has never disappeared from Germany. But since Hamas's barbaric attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, it has become louder, more open, more brazen, and more violent almost every day.
Gewaltsamer.
I want to tell you how appalled we all are by this and how ashamed it makes us feel.
Und wie sehr uns das beschämt.
Alongside his feelings of shame, the Chancellor also seems to have been affected by images of the destruction coming out of Gaza. In August, Merz suspended the delivery of weapons that could be used directly in the war against Hamas. He was criticized for this move by his own Conservative Party and justified himself in a television interview.
Solidarity with Israel does not mean that we consider every decision a government makes to be good and that we also provide it with support, including military support in the form of weapons.
The German government maintains a special relationship with the Jewish state. After the Holocaust, German politicians consider responsibility for Israel's existence and security a fundamental principle for their country.
The principles of German policy toward Israel remain unchanged. Nothing has changed and nothing will change.
Germany has rejected joint sanctions by the European Union against Israel. France and many other EU countries have recognized Palestine as a state, but Germany maintains it's too early for that. Instead, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz supports the newest US-backed peace plan for Gaza.
We welcome the peace plan for Gaza proposed by US President Trump. After almost 2 years of bloodshed, this plan is the best chance yet to end the war. The fact that Israel supports this plan is a significant step forward. Now Hamas needs to approve it and clear the way for peace.
Merz urged Hamas to seize the opportunity 2 years after the militant Islamists attacked Israel. Were Hamas to give up control of Gaza now, the German government would be ready to support the rebuilding of the territory.
And And from on the German side of this, I'm now joined by our political correspondent, Matthew Moore. Matthew, what's going on in Germany today, and what do you hear from the government in Berlin?
Yeah, it's a poignant moment for Germany, Gerhard, not least because of its historical ties to Israel, but there were German victims of Hamas's terror attack on October 7, 2 years ago, and also German citizens among the remaining hostages. So, as we heard, a number of events taking place, not just here in Berlin, but across the country, remembering the horror of that day. And one of the events, the German president will be speaking with Jewish community in Leipzig. We'll have an exhibition opening here in Berlin, which retells this terrifying attack on the Nova Music Festival. The Israeli ambassador will take part in that. The president of the German parliament also taking part. But interestingly, Gerhard, no minute silence in the German parliament this week, which did happen last year. Also, a number of rallies expected in the capital over the course of the day. One rallying against anti-Semitism and another calling for a stop to the genocide in Gaza.
Now, as we heard in our report, Friedrich Merz has set a different tone when it comes to Germany's position on Israel. Is that a real significant shift in terms of Germany's relations with Israel?
I think probably worth starting with a speech that Angela Merkel gave to the Israeli parliament in 2008. It was a watershed speech. She talked about Germany's historic responsibility to Israel as a, quote, a reason of state for Germany. And she said, Israel's security is never negotiable and there, quote, must be no empty words in its hour of crisis. This idea of Germany's reason of state being Israel's security, that has become the guiding light of German foreign policy toward Israel since that speech. But with Friedrich Merz, there's been a small but a kind of significant change in recent months. Someone who's much more critical of the Israeli military operation in Gaza, someone who's saying he can't understand what Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to achieve, someone who in August said he would no longer allow weapons to be delivered to Israel that can be used in Gaza, something that he said led to a very heated phone call with Benjamin Netanyahu. And he was asked about this idea of the reason of state in an interview this week, and he said that this idea of a Staatsräson or raison d'etat, that's something that was normally for your own country and not for others. So a small sign perhaps that he doesn't place as much weight on it. Having said that, he did underline that Germany's unconditional kind of solidarity with Israel is not in question.
Now, Merz has been speaking about this in the last couple of weeks and months, but also he has released a statement now marking October 7. What was his message there?
That's right. I think the message that I took away from it was he was warning of a kind of a new wave of anti-Semitism since the terror attack 2 years ago. He said that anti-Semitism had become louder on social media, in universities, that it was sometimes even violent. And he sent a message to Germans to basically reach out to their Jewish neighbours, to Jewish people in the community and let them know that we Germans stand by their side and that there will always be a place for German Jewish life here in Germany. And that was the message that I took away from that statement.
Our political correspondent Matthew Moore there reporting from Berlin. Thank you, Matthew.